Hello and welcome to Two Men in the Shed. I'm Justin.
I'm Dan.
Dan's very sleepy. You might have heard him shouting just before it started, actually. He was shouting during the transition.
I'm attempting not to laugh. Don't know why.
Yeah, that's it. So on today's show, I want to talk about slavery, particularly in regards to education in the UK and how it's not being taught properly. I've got a few other topics just in case we get past that. There was the doctors at the US Pentagon stated that children as young as 7 are capable of determining whether they should go onto puberty blockers or not, and it should be their decision.
Yeah. I heard something about this.
That seems ludicrous to me, but
terrible. Yeah. Just ridiculous.
What else we got? Speech in the workplace.
Speech in the workplace?
Yeah, how far should you go to try and not offend people at work?
Oh, I don't go very far. I do it all the time.
And last one is...
in fact, today, I can tell you...
We'll get to it. The last one is Ofsted. If for those of you not aware, Ofsted is the government body that grades schools in the UK, and they give them a rating of good, bad, needs improvement, outstanding, etc. And there's a call from teachers to disband Ofsted and bring something else in their place, which we'll talk about. It's quite interesting, that one. But first off, let's start with slavery. Now, really, this is about the UK's part in the slave trade. Now, I never learned anything at school about the UK's part in the slave trade. God damn, it's been a long day.
Can't restart this one.
I'm not restarting. Well, actually, I started off by asking. I signed up for the beta Bing search. They've introduced GPT into Bing.
Yeah, I vaguely remember something about this.
So I asked Bing what nation was mostly responsible for ending the slave trade in the Western world.
Mm-hmm.
And it said it's a very complicated issue. No single nation was responsible for ending it.
Yeah.
So then I went on to ask Bing, did the UK, also did Britain not do the most to end the slave trade? And it said, Britain done a lot, but it's a complicated issue, and it would be unfair to say that Britain done the most towards ending the slave trade.
Right.
So before we get into it, do you know when slavery became illegal in Britain? Have a guess at the year. Now, do you think most places it was the 1600s? I'm talking about the Western world of modern slavery, not ancient slavery, that is.
Oh, okay. Wasn't it quite late, wasn't it? 1800s?
What, when I said the rest of the world was 1600s? Actually, no, the rest of the world was between the 16 and 1800s.
Oh, so Britain would have been earlier, I guess?
Yes, earlier.
Well, I don't know, 100 years earlier.
So 1500, you're saying?
Yeah.
Earlier.
14?
Earlier.
12?
Earlier.
900?
Later. So it was shortly after William the Conqueror invaded 1066, Battle of Hastings.
Oh, yeah.
One of the policies he brought in soon after he was successful in his invasion was to outlaw slavery. So
forward thinking.
In the UK, well, no, it wasn't, but I'll tell you why it wasn't in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So slavery's essentially been banned in the UK since 1070-ish.
So nearly 1,000 years.
So we're talking nearly 1,000 years, and people are still saying about how evil we were.
Yeah.
You've got to remember, slavery was commonplace to every country in the world. There wasn't a single place in the world that didn't do slavery.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the black countries as well, enslaving other black people. So it's pretty much every country. and Britain was the first to outlaw it in, I say, about 1070. Now, why did they do that? Well, William the Conqueror needed some money after his invasion. So what he done is he outlawed slavery and said, I'm going to fine you if you have slaves.
Very good.
And because everyone had slaves, he was basically fining everyone. So very quickly, everyone got rid of their slaves. Now, when I say they got rid of their slaves, they became serfs. If you're not familiar with what a serf is, it's a higher station than a slave, but a lower station than the free person. So a serf was basically bound to the land.
Okay.
So you couldn't sell a serf. If you wanted to sell a serf, you had to sell the land they were on.
Yeah.
Because they were considered part of the land. So they were free to live and farm that land, but then had to pay the landowner for the privilege. Now, in some cases, they could earn their freedom by saving enough money and buying their freedom. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the landholder would grant them their freedom. But for most of them, it was just a life of hard work, but living and working a piece of land. So it was a much better station than a slave, but obviously not as good as a free person. So that's what the UK, I keep saying the UK, it wasn't, it was Britain. That's what Britain done in 1070. And it stayed that way, I think, up until sort of like the late 1600s. When what happened is a slave came over on a slave ship from America to Britain.
Yeah.
And he ran away while I was here.
Right.
They managed to catch him and they stuck him on a ship to take him back to America and sell him. But then some people here done some pro bono work, some lawyers, and took it to court. And the court said, basically, they found that no, the second he had stepped onto British soil, he became a free man because slavery is illegal here. Yeah. So as soon as a slave steps onto the soil of Britain, they became a free person. Yeah. So they basically stopped it, and they won that case. And from then onwards, that was the precedence. Anyone visiting, if they brought a slave with them, the second their slave stepped onto land, they were free. Yeah. But what happened afterwards is we started using the fact that we were slave free as a club or an excuse to invade and attack other places. Okay. So I'm not saying that we done it out of the goodness of our heart as a country, as Britain. No. So like Italy, France, Germany, they all had slaves still. And we were obviously at the UK, Britain was superior in the seas at that time. We had the biggest navy in the world. We were conquering half the known world. And I basically said, you either set your slaves free and outlaw slavery, or we're going to do it for you. Yeah, yeah. So a lot of countries fell in line and got rid of their slaves. And that was the push to outlaw slavery. And that's what happened. It got to the point where Britain started a detachment of the Navy to go and blockade Africa to stop slaves coming out. Now, it started off with only 2 ships because we were at so many wars, we didn't have the ships to spare at that point. But eventually went a lot higher, up to like 40 or 50 ships, I believe. And and so that's how modern slavery really ended in the West. Yeah. Is that Britain did this. So anyway, I said the same thing to ChatGPT. I said, so Britain done this. Britain outlawed slavery first, and it said, oh yeah, but there was other factors. There were other groups that were doing it, that were preparing to outlaw slavery. And I said, did any nation ever do it before Britain? And it's like, I can find no information that any nation ever done it before Britain. I was like, okay. And I said, so if Britain hadn't started this, would slavery still be around? And it said, it's impossible to know what would have happened, but it is unlikely as there were other groups who were beginning to oppose slavery. Yeah. So I said, well, when did these groups oppose slavery? Was it before or after Britain? And they said it's after, essentially what it come down to. And I said, okay, so it was after. I said to Chat, do you not think this was influenced by what Britain was doing? Yeah. And they said, yes, it is highly likely they were influenced by what Britain were doing, but we can't know for sure. And it said about these other countries soon outlawed slavery after, so it would have happened anyway. And I said, but that only happened because Britain pressured them.
Yeah.
So it was like, right, okay. So again, so therefore, is it fair to say Britain was most responsible of any nation for ending slavery? And it said, no, it's not reasonable to say that because of these other things. So again, I went down and I said, okay, list the other groups and factions and nations that were opposing slavery at the time. And it come down to English Quakers. I'm like, okay, so they're English. I said, so let me rephrase. Other than the English and British, would it be fair to say the English and British were responsible for, mostly responsible for stopping slavery? And it said, no. It would not be right to say Britain was solely responsible for stopping slavery. So I put in, I didn't write solely responsible, I put mostly responsible. And it said, I apologise for not getting not understanding your question correctly. Here is my revised answer. Yes.
There you go. Finally.
Yes, it is fair to say that Britain is mostly responsible for ending slavery, modern slavery. So, but that's a bit of history. And what I'm saying, what I'm going to get is they don't teach at schools.
Yeah.
They teach you about slavery, how it was wrong and stuff, but they don't teach
outside of that
how we were involved within it.
Yeah. And
this all came about. There's a fantastic YouTube video, which I'll try and link on our YouTube video, and it goes over it. And this YouTube video is made as a response to a reporter basically saying that white people in the UK should be ashamed of their past and ashamed of the role they played in slavery. So this video was made basically just to say, no, you shouldn't be ashamed. You should be proud of our country's role in the slave industry.
Yeah.
Because without our role, no one actually knows what's going to happen. No one else at the time was pushing for ending slavery.
Yeah.
So it could have went on for hundreds of years, and it could have still been going on today. So, yeah. So I think it is a proud part of the British heritage, and I can't believe schools don't teach it.
Yeah.
Same in the US. They don't teach much about the history of slavery. Most people think that it's just a white person thing. Most people think it's only white people that took slaves. They don't understand that it was the entire world. It was the entire world. It was completely normal as driving a car. Until Britain said no. Albeit because they wanted to make money, that we'd been freshly conquered and that we in the conqueror wanted to make money from it, but that was the start of it. Back in, I say, about 1070-ish. So now I've educated you. What do you reckon?
Now you've educated me. I was going to say it's probably.
Well, you didn't know it before, and I asked you, and you said you didn't know.
I knew threads of it, but
all right, okay.
It's that sort of stuff, that in-depth stuff, isn't really taught in, I guess, secondary schools. But I think if you take it further and actually study it through A-level, college or university, you'll get into the kind of that level. I think.
I'm not sure. I didn't know anyone that knew this.
No, but it's
no one.
But I don't know many people that have done history as a university course. And university kind of emphasizes that you go and find out the information rather than them teach it to you.
Yeah, but why aren't they teaching it at schools?
Well, it's just
we do history at school. It's a mandatory subject,
yeah,
and that's a massive part of history. Slavery.
Yeah, but
you cover slavery at school.
There's a lot to cover, though.
We cover slavery at school, and not once is it mentioned.
Yeah, true.
Slavery at school was basically consisted of, oh yeah, we went and took slaves from Africa and brought them back here.
Yeah.
Well, no, that's not even true.
Well, I don't know.
Now, I will say in between the 1100 and the 1600, whatever it was when it was banned, Britain still participated in the slave trade. Mm-hmm. So we just didn't sell them back into the UK. We went and got them and sold them off to other people. But that ended, I say, beforehand. But it doesn't change the fact that we ended it first. After they said it was, slaves were considered free people as soon as they stepped onto British soil. They then went further and updated the law to say, with the moral side of it, to say no one should be a slave, and that's when it all kicked off to end the slave trade completely. So, yeah, I'm so angry they don't teach it at school.
Why don't you start
the same in American schools. I'm angry most people don't understand what the slave trade was.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people picture, people from the West going into Africa, going in, grabbing people from villages, dragging them out and chucking them on boats. That very, very, very rarely happened because it was too much work.
Yeah.
So what actually happened is the African kings or rulers at the time, when they were so much fighting internally in Africa, whenever they fought, they'd try and capture the enemy instead of killing them.
Yeah.
They'd capture them, then take them to the beaches to be sold to the slave traders. Yeah. They were selling their own people.
Yeah.
So that's what was happening. Now everyone thinks that the West was the biggest in the slave trade and stuff, but it's not true. It's like Saudi Arabia area and all of that sort of area down there. They had more slaves than anyone. The reason you don't hear about that is because you would think there'd be a lot of black people there if that's where all the majority of slaves were ending up. And that would be true, except they castrated them all.
Okay.
They made sure they couldn't have children. So they all died. They all died out.
Right.
And that's where the most horrendous slavery was happening. So, and whilst it's now illegal, it still happens today over there.
Yeah.
Still happening. So I think a lot of people need to redirect their anger when it comes to slavery to the right places. Okay. But yeah, going back on, I couldn't believe it. Oh, so after it agreed with me, right? ChatGPT agreed with me that yes, I cleared the history.
Yeah.
And I phrased it in exactly the same way I phrased it when it had said yes to me in a new chat. And it was back to saying no. No, you can't say that.
Okay.
So I was kind of tying this into ChatGPT. Its logic is useless.
Yeah.
What it's doing, I call it ChatGPT, but it's the Bing search, which has AI in it, which was based off of GPT-4.
Mm-hmm.
It won't make any links for itself. You have to give it all the links. You have to give it all the links. In other words, you have to say, they did this, then Britain did this, then Britain did this, then Britain did this, and you have to justify it. And it says about these other countries doing it. It's like, yeah, that was after Britain, and they were pressured by Britain. And when you tell it that, it goes and looks it up,
right?
Realizes you're correct, and adds it to the conversation sort of thing. And you have to spoon feed it the information.
Yeah.
Then it verifies the information, and then it will agree with you. But so as soon as I cleared that search, it went back to saying no. It's not true.
Yeah, so it doesn't update the model.
Which means when you ask it these questions, it doesn't give you a comprehensive answer.
No.
It looks at the internet, finds a couple of web pages, and then goes, yeah, there's an answer, and chucks it at you. It's useless. And the people are saying these AIs now are so smart and they're going to take over. And they're not.
That's because people don't understand what AI actually is.
It's just they call it a large learning model. That's what this is. So basically, it just looks at the information and tries to remember some bits of it. This one searches the web, but yeah, it can't put things together. No. It will look up, find a few sources to corroborate, and that's it. It leaves it there. But if you ask it a detailed question, it's got 3 settings. You can have it on creative, balanced, or precise.
Yeah, which takes longer.
Yeah, so I had it on precise, which to give you the most comprehensive answer. Uh-huh. And it can't give a comprehensive answer. It doesn't do the research to give a comprehensive answer. I say, as soon as you spoon feed it each question, so that within the one chat window, it has the information, it's looked at all multiple sources, and it's looked at all these different aspects, then it can come to the same conclusion that to me was inevitable.
Yeah. But technically, you're just spoon-feeding the steps that you've already done in your head before you ask the questions.
Well, yes, I knew this before I asked ChatGPT. I wanted to see what would happen if I asked it. If it would do the research, but it won't do the research.
No.
You have to spoon-feed it the different bits of history, and it corroborates those. And then eventually, you do that long enough, and it will get to the answer that it should have been given all along. So yeah, it doesn't learn, because as soon as you clear that chat history, it's back to doing no.
Yeah.
So it's not learning anymore. It didn't learn from that.
Yeah. It's not, because it's just an algorithm that picks out the most likely answer based on your question or your data input.
Yeah, but they work by the more you talk to it in the one chat, the more it remembers what it said in that chat. As soon as you clear the chat, it has no recollection of things that have been talked about, which is a problem for an AI. Maybe it's done intentionally to stop it learning too much or developing a personality or whatever, because if it remembered the conversations and used that as part of its output in future, well, when someone asks it the question I asked it, it should now be saying yes, because it's now learned and it knows. But as soon as you clear that chat, it's forgotten. So it's not storing that history. It's not using that.
Yeah.
Therefore, it's not improving. It's just got access to the internet. And that's it, really. That's all it's doing, is using those things on the internet. But it's not putting two and two together. It's just everything's individual things. It won't consider multiple facets of a question to get to the right answer.
Yeah, it's not sentient intelligence. It's literally a learning. It's not even a learning algorithm. It's just, but no, it is. But it's just a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a.
It's fixed.
I don't know what I'm looking
it's
for.
Fixed. If you wanted it to be able to come to this conclusion I gave it, you'd probably have to create or get that same conclusion onto 100 different websites. Because it looks for things, finds something, and then tries to corroborate it. So as soon as it has to be what it considers credible. And the way I think it does credible is to go, well, I've seen it on a lot of other sites as well, which to me it doesn't make things credible. But at least it's checking multiple sources. So if you put that conclusion on a lot of sources, I think it would then give you the answer. Yes, it's fair to say.
Potentially, yeah.
But without doing that, every time it's looking fresh at the internet, and just pulling an answer that kind of fits, corroborating it with a couple of other sites, and chucking out nonsense. No, it's not capable of research, and anyone that thinks it's going to do anything is fooling themselves. It can't answer most basic questions right. But I was moaning about it not being taught in schools. What do you think? Should be? Shouldn't be? You think it should just be taught at university level, or
no? I don't know, to be honest, because essentially, as a society, we should be moving away from that. You know, like how long do you keep teaching something that shouldn't exist in the first place? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Now, the more you talk about it, the more it exists. That's what they keep saying with regards to slavery. The more you talk about it, the more it exists in people's minds, the more people are going to dwell on it.
But also, you don't want to repeat the mistakes by forgetting what the past was in the first place.
Yeah, so this should be taught as a younger, in my opinion. Everybody should know this happened. It ended freaking 2 centuries ago. You are not a victim. Your ancestors may have been. You are not a victim.
Yeah, I think that's the crucial
or
bit.
Your ancestors may have been a perpetrator.
Yeah.
You are not a perpetrator.
I think that's the crucial bit that's missing.
They're teaching.
Everyone projects and takes it on
themselves.
They're
teaching if you're black, you should be a victim.
Yeah.
If you're black, you're a victim. If you're white, you're a perpetrator.
Yeah.
And you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
I feel no shame at all. I feel proud that
you're British.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That it was Britain that primarily put an end to the slave trade.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that. They should teach that at school. Yeah. So
we're part of
F off.
As Britain, we're part of a lot of good things throughout history, including even today as well.
Yeah, we were part of a lot of bad things as well. When I say when I say we're part of bad things, I mean we conquered over a third of the world.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
At one single point. Now, other people have conquered a lot of the world.
Yeah.
But it's not always been at the same time.
No.
It's been they conquered this and they lost it, and they conquered this and they've lost it. When you look at a map of the most land that Britain held at a given point in time, it was over a third of the world.
Yeah, which is insane.
Now, that probably shouldn't make you proud.
No, because of the way we did it, but it does.
It does make you proud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You're right. It makes you proud.
Yeah.
You think this tiny little island that we live on, our tiny little country, conquered a third of the world.
Yeah. Don't mess with us.
We're not that country anymore, but
we're kind of
we're full. When you say that, we're still one of the best military forces in the world.
We're
best
eighth,
trained,
as far as I'm aware.
No, and that's in size.
But
I'm talking about trained.
Training.
We're we have some of the best military in the world.
Yeah.
With regards to training.
SAS.
Yeah.
One of the best trained.
I would say second to none, but then of course I'm British, so
Yeah.
I'm biased. A lot of countries have their own, equivalents, but I think they were the original.
Mm.
They were the original special ops.
Yeah.
Now I was talking about how I can't believe this isn't taught in schools, which brings me on to my next another topic.
Yeah.
Which is Ofsted, which I mentioned before. They're the part of the government entity in the UK who rate schools. They go in, they audit the schools, and they come out and they say you need improvement, or you're okay, or you're good, or you're outstanding. There's a big call from teachers to disband Ofsted.
Okay, and what's the reason for that?
Their reasoning is it puts too much stress on teachers.
I can see that.
Well, here's my problem with that. Why do kids go to school other than to just learn information? It's to prepare them for the world, to teach them to deal with the stresses of the world.
Build social relationships.
Build relationships, how to move beyond those stresses and not get freaked out by them and stuff. But at the same time, we've got all these teachers saying that, once every couple of years, this company comes in and looks to see how we're doing. It's too stressful.
If they were coming every month, fair enough.
I'm sorry, grading or measuring your potential, measuring how well you're doing, it's a part of life.
Yeah.
And it's too stressful. It's too stressful. Now, funny enough, I asked, again, I've done this for most things I'm going to talk about. I asked ChatGPT about it. Not ChatGPT, Bing Chat.
Search. Yeah.
And it said... so I just told it that fact that teachers are calling for it to be disbanded, and it come up and said, yes, this is correct. This is because in the last 25 years, according to coroner records, or whatever we call it here, 10 deaths have listed stress due to Ofsted inspections as cause of death. 10.
In how many years?
Basically, what we're saying is 10 teachers have committed suicide.
In how many years?
Because of Ofsted, 25.
That's less than one a year.
Yeah, one happened very recently.
Right.
So now that was a really big push to say, well, this is too much. But tragic.
Absolutely.
But I'm sorry, if I don't understand how the stress of an Ofsted thing can cause that. There's got to be other underlying problems, because there's no way you can be that mentally weak. I don't understand.
No, but this is... yeah, I don't know. Because, if there's other stresses and pressures on their in their life already, fair enough.
Yeah. But to say that they died because of the stress of an Ofsted inspection.
Well, it's the same issue.
That's stupid to say.
It's the same issue with COVID, isn't it? People that are dying of other causes, just because they happen to have COVID, they go, no, they died of COVID. And it's kind of like they're just attributing.
It may have been a contributing factor
because it's happened.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
But you have to measure the schools. You have to measure their performance, because if they're doing crap, they need to be improved.
Yeah.
That's what Ofsted does. They measure it. They say, you're crap.
Yeah.
You need to improve. Put us together a plan of your improvements, and we're going to check it. How is that different to anything else in life? We go to work. Do you have appraisals at work?
No.
You don't have appraisals?
No.
Your company's shit. So we do appraisals. We have, most companies do. Once a year, you normally sit down with an employee or your employee and you say to them, let's have a look at work you've been doing. How have you been getting on? What's going on here? And it's like, well, you need to improve in this area. I want you to tell me how you're going to improve, or I'm going to tell you how you need to improve. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to monitor it. This is what we're going to do. And we set objectives for people to meet.
Yeah.
This is what I want you to focus on this year. This is what I want you to learn. This is what I want you to accomplish. Yeah? Go and do it. I'm here to support you. Fine. But get it done. And you always get measured throughout your life. Now, I'm at a loss.
There's several things, like I said, external factors causing adding stress. But also, if they are doing their best and they know they can't improve or change, and they come in and go, "You're doing terrible," what more can they do? They'll lose their livelihood, their job, their career, whatever, and they'll never recover. And that's a big factor in it.
Well, this is one of the things where
because they'll never be able to teach again either.
I'm not a teacher. I'm not in that environment, and nor are you. So
no.
It's not something we can fully comment on from their side. But there was the argument they're saying that they basically come in, measure, say you're doing all of this stuff wrong, whatever, then don't help to fix it.
Yeah.
They just say you've got to make it better.
Yeah.
Which, to be honest,
it's not any help.
That's what the head teachers are there for.
Yeah.
That's their role. And so they're moaning that Ofsted don't support them in getting there. Well, I believe there is resources from Ofsted to help people and help guide them and give them ideas on how they can get better. But then I would say it's primarily the head teacher's job to do that.
Yeah.
If you can't do that job, leave. Step down as a head teacher. Just go back to a teacher. Or go to a deputy head teacher.
I know a lot of managers like that.
There's a lot of managers that should step down, yeah. But
yeah. It's the same issue everywhere. But the difference is, in a normal working environment, you can leave your job and go somewhere else doing the same career. Mm-hmm. As a teacher, you tend to get, I believe, you can look this up and check this, you kind of get black marked, where you wouldn't be able to teach you couldn't go to another school.
Not at all. Not at all. Of course they can. They're crying out for teachers. Let's say you're a maths teacher that goes on to be a head teacher.
Yeah.
You're not teaching maths anymore. You're a head teacher. If you can't cut it as a head teacher, go back to just being a teacher. They're crying out for teachers. You could get a job anywhere as a maths teacher. Or maths teacher, science teacher, English teacher, any of those subjects, fine.
Yeah.
If you're a teacher of inclusion and diversity, which is a thing now, and mental health and well-being and stuff like that, well, I'm pretty sure those jobs are filled. So anyone studying that at university, you're going to be in big trouble.
Well, it depends.
There's so many people studying things at university that are going to go nowhere.
Yes.
Absolutely nowhere. And they're just throwing away £50,000 or dollars or whatever you want to call it. They're just chucking their money down the drain. They may as well have just chucked it down the drain.
Yeah.
But yeah, pick a sensible subject, people at uni. If you've got kids wanting to go to uni and they pick some stupid subject, don't pay for it. Tell them you're not paying for it.
Will there be a list of stupid subjects on the Twitter page?
No, but there will be a list of stupid subjects when my kids are old enough to go to university. There'll be a list of here's the courses I will refuse to pay for.
Yeah.
Here's the courses I will pay for you.
Which will probably be maths and science, right? If I'm right.
They're both looking at STEM subjects.
Okay.
They're both wanting to do STEM subjects, so
that's good.
Or STEM fields, I should say. It's not particular. Subjects are more broad in what they're looking at, but they're STEM. They're not going to do leisure and tourism or I say inclusion and diversity or anything like that. They're not looking at those currently. So they're not that old yet, but currently they've shown no interest at all in those sort of things.
Leisure and tourism isn't a stupid one. That's quite useful actually.
Yeah, except that I believe it was something like 15% of students were doing it, and I guarantee you there isn't enough jobs to cover 15%. This is going back. No. This is when I was looking. It was like 15% of people doing leisure and tourism.
Yeah.
It's like, well, there isn't enough
in the industry.
There isn't enough industry
Yeah.
to support that many people in those roles.
There is now.
No, it's not.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, what jobs are you going to do?
You could be
Within the UK, you can move abroad and do things.
Yeah.
And
Well,
but that's what most of them end up doing.
no.
Becoming reps for holiday companies.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Abroad.
Yeah.
So at the 1830 sort of holiday destination things,
Yeah.
they all end up being reps there, which you can do for about 10 years. And all they're doing basically going out, making sure people aren't getting too drunk, but they go out and party every night, essentially. And they come back 10 years later and they've got no job and no skills.
Yeah.
And they go and find a different job, completely outside of the field of what they studied.
Yeah.
So, but tell me how 15% of the population could feel going to leisure and tourism roles?
Aircraft, what are they called?
Hostess. They're not allowed to call hostess. They're not hostesses anymore.
That's leisure and tourism, though, is it? I'm not allowed to call them hostesses.
No, that's a female role.
Host.
There's no such thing as a female anymore.
Host.
Sorry, I didn't mean. I meant. You can't be sexist like that.
And here's me worrying about what I was.
It's not air steward. It's not an air stewardess. It's an air steward person.
Whatever. People on airplanes, right?
Yeah, the people that give you snacks.
Yeah.
Or sorry, charge you £25 for a snack.
Yeah, and a cup of water. Yeah, so there's at least 10 of them per flight, right?
No, there's not.
I know.
There's like 3 or 4.
The aircraft industry itself is going to be literally taking off. Pardon the pun. But
Wasn't funny at all. I'm laughing because you thought it was funny.
No, I didn't think it was funny. It was a pun. But no, I was reading about how people are researching currently into hypersonic aircraft, which are aircraft that are currently travel 5 times faster than the speed of sound. If that takes off, it will just explode, and there'll be even more jobs in that industry.
Let's do a little bit of maths behind it. You want 300 people on a plane.
Yeah.
If 15% of people are going to be stewardesses or stewards.
Yeah, it's 45 people.
That's 45 of them on per plane.
Yeah.
Do you think they're going to have 45 per plane?
No, but
no.
There'll be more. That's one area. There's other areas
obviously
well.
there's other areas. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Most of them are going to end up in jobs that don't go anywhere. I'm not saying they can't get a job in that field.
Yeah.
But I'm saying they're dead-end jobs.
Maybe that's where they want to work. Not every job will
They're unskilled jobs. They're jobs you don't require a degree for.
Then what's the point in having leisure and tourism then? As a subject?
There's not. That's my point.
Okay.
Most of these jobs that you can go do with a leisure and tourism degree, they may assist you in getting a job, but it's not a requirement for that job.
Well, I don't know.
You don't have to know anything about the leisure and tourism industry to sell peanuts on a plane. I'm sorry. What do you want me to say? Do you need a degree to sell from a little cart on a plane?
No, although physics degree might help.
So you can calm people down when you think the plane's going to crash and fall out of the sky.
No, when there's
during
turbulence, you know where the trolley's going to go, don't you? No, I mean, my head's blank, but I'm sure there's more.
Not to cover 15%.
There's got to be more jobs than that, surely. For leisure and tourism.
15% of the population.
Yeah.
What are we at now? 70 million?
What, in the UK?
Yeah.
No. 40 or 50, I think it is now.
Across the whole of the UK?
Yes.
Okay, let's say 50 for easy maths.
Yeah.
7.5 million jobs. It's not 7.5 million jobs at all. Easy maths. What did I say? 15%? Yeah, 7.5 million. I was right.
Are you going back to uni?
I was correct. I should never doubt myself. I know better than that.
This is what I've got to work with, people.
7.5 million people in leisure and tourism. Do you think that's a realistic number?
Don't know.
To serve 50 million?
Yeah, that's probably about right. That's what, one for every 5 people?
That's 15%. It's 15 for every 100.
Oh, well then it's... one for every 8 people.
Something like that, yeah. Do you think 1 in 8 people is sustainable for leisure and tourism? No, it's nowhere near that anymore. Anyway, I don't think it'll be anywhere near that anymore. But let's say that was all the rage back then. It was what everyone was going to do. And I remember at the time thinking, are these people stupid? Well, yeah, they are. They're going to do leisure and tourism.
I don't know why I was talking about leisure and tourism so heavily.
It was just an example.
I know, but
I was just saying that a lot of the university courses people go to get a degree in.
Yeah.
You don't require a degree for unless you're going to be in the upper echelons of that industry, and even then, you could do it through working up in the industry.
Yeah.
For most of these places, most of these things, the only ones you need a degree for,
science,
are the ones we actually have to learn stuff that's required for the job.
Yeah.
So most jobs don't require the information that's taught at university. It would only be the very upper echelons in those industries that require that knowledge.
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas if you're going into let's say mathematics, teaching, studying, whatever, you have to learn mathematics.
Yeah.
It's that simple. Now you could learn it on your own, yes, but
nowhere near the level.
There is value in doing a university course in it. So.
Yeah, but like media studies, for instance, is very useful. Being able to get into, I mean, you could learn it on the job, yeah, but it gives you a head start.
Media studies, I think, is one of the soft ones, which I don't think you are required to go to university for. But if you get not necessarily a degree, but a qualification in media studies,
it gives you a greater understanding.
It definitely gives you much more of an easier time getting into a job for media studies. It helps because there's a lot of psychology involved in media. So I would say, realistically, you'd want a psychology. What's the other term they use for it?
Social studies?
No, sociology.
Oh, okay.
Would be more beneficial than a...
Really?
Yeah.
They're not the same thing, though, I don't think.
No, but you basically... If you do media studies, normally what you're going to be doing is running people's social media campaigns, things like that.
I'm sure media is more to do with film industry.
No, social media marketing is the normal course now.
Isn't that digital marketing?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when we were talking about social media, weren't we?
No, media studies.
Oh, media studies. I was thinking social media.
Why were you thinking
social media and marketing?
No, that's digital marketing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So that's where
yes,
the psychology comes into it because you're trying to sell stuff, and I think that's more beneficial as long as you've got the basic competency to be able to use Twitter and so forth.
Yeah.
As long as if you understand the psychology behind people, then you're better able to sell to them.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're talking about
media, which is like film industry.
Media, yeah, which is yeah.
That's useful, but you can also
no. It is useful if you're one of the very few people that actually gets to do it.
Yeah, but it's a massive industry. There's so many people in that industry that all do different jobs.
I don't think you understand how populations work. You can't have 15% of the population being flight attendants, 15% of the population being film stars and freaking producers and all those kind of things. Because that would be 30% of the population already. What are you going to have? 50% of the population working at Costa Coffee and Starbucks. You've got literally 20% of the population to be police and government workers. That means nothing else is getting done.
There you go. Perfect.
The areas you're talking about are going to be like 0.2% of the population, not 7%. That's what I'm saying. You get hundreds. The people studying these things are 100 times more. The number of people is 100 times more than the jobs available in those industries as career paths. Yeah, they're not viable long-term careers. A lot of people will go into this and they'll get a job being a runner on a set. And that's what they'll do for 20 years.
Yeah.
Is a runner on a set.
Yeah.
They go and get coffee for people. So you're going to go and get a degree in this just to make coffee for people.
Yeah, but it's working the lower jobs till you get your opportunity or until you get
there's
chance
no
to move somewhere else.
But the chances of that happening is very low because there are so many people looking for those chances to move up.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's no core intelligence required for the low levels. You don't need a degree to do the low levels. No. And the chances are most people doing the low levels will never go beyond 1 or 2 levels above that. It's not long-term career stuff. Now, if you were doing it because you want to go into the film industry and you're happy to be a runner for the rest of your life, I have no issues with that. None at all. Do what you're happy doing. If you can afford to live like that, absolutely fine. Yeah. I think people do put too much emphasis on careers a lot of the time. You know, if I could afford to live doing, working on doing a 30 grand job, I think I'd be much happier just working a 30 grand job.
Yeah.
In fact, I was most happiest working probably about 7 years ago, when I was just in a lab.
Yeah.
That's all I was doing. Nothing else.
Yeah.
No managing, nothing like that. And I loved my job. But you want to progress because you need more money.
Well, society pushes you that way. It's not necessarily because you want it. You push that way.
Well, actually, I didn't need it. But if I wanted to be able to retire ever, then yeah, I did need to.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there are benefits to doing that. But again, I don't think you need a university degree. You don't need a university degree to do that. So you'd only do that if you're looking for a career. Because don't forget, you've got to pay back unless you're in some of these places in America where the US government's just going to pay off your debts out of taxpayer money. Glad I don't live in the US.
Yeah.
Then you've got to pay all this money back. So not only you're entering a low-paying field, right, you're probably never going to pay your money back, so the taxpayer is essentially paying it anyway, because in the UK you don't pay back the money until you earn over a certain amount. Mm-hmm. So if you're only earning a low-paying job and you never get to a higher-paying job, you're never going to have to pay it back, which works quite well.
Yeah.
But if you break that, it's not actually that high. I think it's going to sit around 23,000 or something like that. We have to start paying it back. Mm-hmm. So you get to a job that's 25,000. You've now got to pay back start paying back your university loans. And for what? You've not got much of a career. You've got a lot of debt you're going to be paying off for the rest of your life now, because you're not paying it off very quickly. Because
it's also...
and every time you get more money, they take more of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's based on how much you're earning, right? It's not like, oh, now you start paying back 400 quid a month, you know.
Well, it's pretty much, I think, around £200-300 a month is the starting point to start paying back. So once you hit something like 25 grand, you start paying £200 a month back. I have no idea what the numbers are actually, but I think it's probably around there. As you go up, it goes up.
Yeah.
So as you start earning more money, you're paying out more money to start paying off your loans, and so yeah, I don't see the benefit. Now, when you look at I saw some statistics a while ago, and I think it was something like people with a degree earn something like 20% more over the life of their career, which is a lot of money when you look over it, and it's well worth the investment in university. That's the average. Now you look at a doctor, yeah, they have very high bills, but they're not earning 20% more than someone without a degree. Normally, they're normally earning about 300% more.
Yeah.
Which means that this number is severely skewed by the high earners.
Yeah, of course.
So the reality is, if you were to look down the middle, you're going to be seeing 50-60% of these people are never earning back more than what they put in over the course of their life.
Yeah, potentially.
Which means that 60% should never have gone to university in the first place.
But you're never going to know that unless you take the chance.
You are, depending on what subject you're going to go and do. That's what I'm saying. Pick your subjects carefully, because there are a lot of stupid subjects being taught.
Ones that should never exist at university in the first place.
Ask yourself, will this actually get me a job that's going to pay reasonable money?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things, and I do think teachers are underpaid.
Massively.
Because
teachers, NHS staff, lots of other things.
And you don't have to get a degree to be a teacher, but in most cases, that's the route that's taken.
Don't you have to get a qualification above what you're trying to teach? So if you're teaching at secondary school, you need a degree.
I'm not quite sure exactly how it works, but no, I think you basically get a teaching qualification. You can do it by doing part-time in the classrooms and other stuff, but most people do it via a degree.
Yeah.
So they spend out a lot of money for that, and teaching doesn't pay that well. Mm-hmm. So pays better than a lot of these other jobs. Like runners on movie sets, they pay very low because loads of people want to do it because they want to be on movie sets, and you'll get people who will do it for next to nothing, who will do it for minimum wage. So teachers are a better choice than that, I think, in my opinion, but you've still got limited earnings.
Yeah.
Because how many teachers actually make it to a head teacher, which is where the money becomes reasonable?
Not many, because even then, you've got that one position available out of
That's what I'm saying.
40, 50 teachers in the school.
Is teacher a good choice? To me, the answer is no if you're just looking at the financial.
Yeah.
I actually considered becoming a teacher.
Oh, God.
You saying, oh, God, I'd be a great science teacher.
No,
I'd be fantastic. We'd be doing experiments every week.
I would as well, but it doesn't mean we should.
I would be a good teacher.
Okay.
No doubt. But
that's a hook into our channel that we're going to start soon, by the way.
We're going to do teaching?
Science experiments.
I used to do teaching as a private tutor.
Yeah, I remember,
Yeah, it went quite well.
Yeah. What I mean is we're doing a channel for science experiments, surely. For experiments in general.
Well, not experiments. I think we're looking at projects.
Yeah, projects, experiments, whatever we want to do. Along science-based theme.
I'm going to get the wind turbine built and up and running. I think I'm going to do that. That's going to be my first one.
Yeah.
We can look at rocket propulsion engines after that if you really want to.
That's quite a leap, but yeah.
Well, it's not. You don't have to make spacefaring rockets.
No, just ones that work.
Yeah, you can make we can make a little turbine engine.
Yeah.
Attach it to a bicycle.
What I saw, what I watched the other day was someone make a. It's a really good channel. I can't remember the name of it though. Making a ion propulsion engine, and they went through all the kind of technical stuff with it and stuff.
How much force did it put out? Next to nothing, I'm willing to bet.
It was. Well, yeah, it was next to nothing, but it was something like.
Well, it's an ion propulsion. It has very little force, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was something like how much? It was a number of grams because he stuck it on a. It's like 26 grams or something.
Grams, yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a lot, actually. 26 grams.
But he did all sorts of things like because he had 3 stages.
It's quite a lot for an ion propulsion engine. That's what I should say. It's not a lot.
He took 3 stages. He had 3 stages. He took one of them off, and it still produced the same amount of thrust and all that sort of stuff. So it was pretty good. Very good video. Yeah, and some other ones as well.
I like mine. I'm quite happy to build stuff like that.
I want to build a Tesla coil. That's so much fun.
I want to build the dual coils that shock you when you walk in between them and fry you to a crisp. You see them?
No.
They're essentially Tesla coils. I think they're still Tesla coils. And you put like one either side of a gateway.
Yeah.
And they'll just arc across through you when you go through the gateway.
Oh, nice.
And so they just toast you. You must remember, they were in Command and Conquer Generals.
Oh, I remember those, yeah.
Yeah, those.
Red Alert, yeah.
Yeah. You know, Tesla towers.
Yeah.
Just toast you.
But they were a lot bigger and had a lot longer range.
Yeah, but they're all right. You could do that.
I mean, I think it was at least 100 meters. And if you were trying to arc it 100 meters in air...
No. In reality, they actually work. You put them either side, concealed behind so like through a doorway. Out the other side of the doorway, you have the two pillars. And basically, they'll arc through you to each other.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, not through me. That wouldn't be cool.
No, but... that's another video I did watch.
That's the sort of thing that's too dangerous to make, though, because...
They made a Tesla coil, and it was a 400k kilovolt Tesla coil, and he was doing it on his arm. And you see his hair, hair on his arm. Just
but that's nothing. I bet he just pulled out a thing out of a transformer out of a microwave to make it, didn't he?
I don't know how he made it.
That's just generally what you do. You just take a coil out of a microwave and you're done.
Yeah, but you need the power converter thing as well.
Well, just plug in a microwave coil.
I mean, the fry you to a crisp part would work quite nicely with that, but yeah. Yeah, just cool.
No, just a transformer. Cool. I'm not talking about actually the microwaving you, no. I'm just talking about the transformer out of a microwave. And they use a lot for a lot of things because there's so many turns on them. And they work really well for wind turbines as well.
Yeah.
Because there's so many coils of wire.
But yeah, I'd love to do some little projects like that. That'd be good.
Yeah, a bit of detour again there. That's how it goes.
Yeah.
I can't remember what else I was going to look at.
It's fine, we can leave it to next week.
Well, there's 5 minutes left. Let's have a quick look.
Diablo 4.
Oh yeah, no. I was going to talk about puberty blockers from the Department of the Pentagon Doctors saying children are old enough to decide whether they should take puberty blockers or not from 7 years old.
I think we all know that's wrong.
Yeah, I know. I haven't got much more to say than that.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Other than
it's wrong.
It's bloody wrong.
Yeah.
But I did ask.
Oh, God.
I asked Bing Chat about it.
You got it right. Well done.
Hmm?
You got it right. Bing Chat, not GPT.
Oh, yeah, I did get it right that time, didn't I?
Yeah.
And it basically said, yeah, some doctors at the Pentagon published this report and said, yeah, said that. I was like, do you not think that? I said, do you think children's minds are developed enough to make that decision? Then it come back and said, oh, there's been a study done somewhere else that says children are becoming more and more capable of making complex decisions with guidance.
Yeah.
So then I asked it, why aren't children allowed to smoke? And it said because of the health laws, because it's dangerous to their health.
Yeah.
So I said, well, why are adults allowed to smoke?
Yeah.
And the answer is children aren't capable of making that decision, of accepting those risks, because their brains aren't developed enough.
Neither are adults, though.
Hmm?
Neither are adults.
Well, no, but this is the reason why the laws are in place to protect children, because they're not capable of making those decisions.
Yeah.
Of saying this is going to harm me.
Yeah, which is fine because they're still learning about the world.
Yet when you apply that to puberty blockers, and they can do permanent damage.
Yeah.
Or getting a sex change.
Yeah.
Which having bits lopped off.
Yeah.
Which is completely irreversible. They're saying, oh, they can make those decisions. They're mentally competent enough to know to make those decisions, but not competent enough to decide they want to have a cigarette.
Well, that's utter bollocks because they don't know anything about their bodies at that point.
I know, it's stupid.
Yeah.
How these doctors come to these decisions, their credentials need to be checked. They really do.
That's why we teach them about sex education and stuff in schools when they're in like secondary school, almost some of it in primary school, because they're not capable of learning it any younger, really.
Mm.
Or rather, no, they're capable of learning it when they're younger, but they lack the capacity to understand what they've been taught until they're older.
So, you just mentioned about teaching sex ed in schools.
Oh, yeah.
So in Florida, they've passed a bill now to get pornographic material out of the kids' classrooms.
Out of the kids' classrooms?
Yeah, because it was allowed. So they had books in children's classrooms describing, with pictures, how to perform anal sex and stuff like that.
Okay, that's not right. Teaching about the body.
They're not photo pictures; they're drawing pictures.
But teaching about the body, their own bodies, and teaching about sexual stuff is completely different.
And there's LGBT, they're LGBT, freaking IQA, whatever. My mind is just not working today. There were some of these books in there that were talking about adults having sex with children.
What?
In a context of it being okay.
What? Why?
Well, they had them in the schools.
No, as in, what was the context of the book?
Oh, it's a book about somebody. So he's reminiscing about when he was younger.
Yeah.
So when he was like 13 or 14, he was reminiscing about his sexual experiences with an adult, about how great they were.
When you say adult? So
in the book, he's an adult at this point in time.
Yeah.
But he's reminiscing about when he was a child having sexual relations with an adult.
Yeah, but I mean, is this
and how it was great?
Is this adults?
This to me.
I was going to say, is this adults like late teens, early 20s, or are we talking like 40, like 30?
No, 40s, 30s, 40s. Reminiscing about his time when he was a child, having sexual relations with an adult at that time, and how great it was.
Yeah.
That to me is freaking child grooming.
Well,
you're teaching children that it's okay and it's great to have had a sexual relationship with an adult when you're a child.
It's paedophilia, actually, to be honest. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's grooming.
Yeah.
It's trying to make it okay.
Well, is it a book about? Is it like a book about his experiences, like as an autobiography, or is it a book about an education?
No, it's a story. It's not an education. It's just it's a novel. It's a gay a gay novel.
Well, yeah.
Just a book. Someone's written and made up.
Well, then.
And it was in school libraries for kids to read.
I mean, that's okay. It's a book, isn't it?
So you're okay with a 7-year-old reading a book that says how great it was for children as young as 13 to have sex with an adult?
It's highly unlikely they'll read it.
No, it's likely.
Is it are we talking like a Harry Potter book, like written like that?
No, with graphic pictures, graphic drawings, not photos.
Well, no, of course that's weird.
So it's the drawings you draw the line with, but you're okay.
No, it's the fact
you're okay with them reading a book saying it's great for a child to have sex with an adult.
No, it's the fact that it's written to appeal to children to read.
It wasn't written for children.
What, you're confusing me now?
It wasn't written for children.
What's it written for then?
Adults.
Why is it in the library?
Because this is what they are. This is in America, of course. This is where wokeism is in America. That's where they're at. So they had to pass a bill in Florida to get them removed. And everything kicked off. But all the LGBT... I said not all the LGBTQIA plus community.
Yeah.
Not all of them. Just the few loudmouths that are there. Right. I think most of them, are fine with it being removed from the school.
Yeah.
Let's just be clear. I'm not having a go at that community. I'm having a go at the loudmouth groomers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this was happening. And then on that subject, then was it Biden wants to try and block it, wants to say they're not allowed to make these rules. Yeah. Now, I'm more and more I see him, I am more and more sure he is.
Yeah, probably, but you ain't gonna.
And the fact that he's still in power in the US, and I would swear blind, the more stuff I see about him.
After his first term is finished, if he doesn't get re-elected, then they'll probably investigate it, if that's seen to be a thing.
Well, you look right. How often he touches kids, he always puts his hands on kids. I'm not talking in an inappropriate way on camera. But he puts his hands on their shoulders. He puts his arms around them. Yeah. He buries his face into their hair. He starts sniffing them. Let's take his son, right, who clearly was.
His son?
Yeah. His son. His son is a paedophile.
Right.
They found his laptop, didn't they, with all these sexual images of children on it.
Okay.
And they tried to say, oh, it was a Russian plant. No, it wasn't. So they covered that all up.
Yeah.
Then you take what's his name? Epstein.
Yeah.
Epstein Island.
Yeah.
Well, so they've got all that information from Epstein Island. They know who's been there. Yeah. How many arrests have been made? They were flying people in, and they were doing with kids.
Probably about 3.
0.
Oh, okay. 0.
And this is the Biden administration. Yeah. Everything that's happening has been under his watch.
Yeah.
So even if he's not, he's responsible. He's allowing this to happen. So, it wouldn't surprise me if he's on that list.
Yeah, I mean...
Well, the Clintons, we know the Clintons were there. Went to the island.
Did they?
Yep.
Okay.
They both flew on his jet over to the islands, I believe. I know they were there. I think it was his jet. I think they went over on Epstein's jet, but I'm not sure on that one. I know they flew over there. Mm-hmm. That's public knowledge. But that was for something completely different.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. So what they're thinking is, the theory is there's so many powerful people on this list that it's going to be deliberately forgotten and hidden.
Yeah. Because
there's too many people that can point the finger. You take one of them, they'll point the finger at everyone else. And... yeah.
Just get swept under the rug.
Well, America won't have any politicians left.
Okay. Moving on.
But no, anyway, that was obviously an exaggeration. There's a lot of sketchy people, I would say, currently in power in the US, on the left-wingers, a lot of them. Not all of them. Some of them seem all right. But yeah, so they introduced this law. But as a side effect, I think it went a bit too far, actually. Yeah. And I'm going to say it went a little bit... I don't know if it went too far. So Michelangelo's David?
Yes.
He stands there with his knob out.
Yeah.
Yeah? They took some kids on a field trip to a museum.
Oh, yeah. I may have seen this.
And he obviously the head teacher had to resign because the kids were being shown pornography.
It's art. It's different.
I'm not of that opinion, actually. I think it's widely accepted, and this is why I say I think it's gone too far. But I'm not of that opinion. Why is it accepted? Why is it okay to show kids as young as 5 or 6 a penis that's made in realistic detail?
Firstly, it's carved out of rock or marble.
Realistic detail.
It doesn't matter. You're focusing on the wrong bit.
I'm sorry, it's right at the centre. And in fact, it's always up on a pedestal. Yeah. And when you look up, the first thing you see...
It's not the first thing I would see.
As you look up, your eyes pass straight over it. Anyway, to give you an idea, they actually cover it over with... they had a custom... Was it leaf? You know, normally you show Adam and Eve with leaves over them. They had a leaf made that hooks on over it.
Okay.
So they put it on for certain dignitaries and people like that because it's too lewd to be in their presence. They leave it uncovered for children. Yeah. Anyway, that's beside the point. But I'm saying that this teacher had to leave because of that, which I think is probably a bit of an over.
I think that's
and most parents were fine with it.
Going, or you mean with
the kids going to the museum? So basically, they have to inform the parents if they're going to be taking them to somewhere like that where they're going to see that, and the parents have to okay it.
Yeah. So all the parents had the choice.
They did it the year before. The year before, they sent it off and got permission from the parents, and it was cancelled and stuff like that. And it was like happened a year later or something. I can't remember the details. I think it happened like a year later.
Yeah.
And they didn't re-ask the parents.
Why should they have to? They've already consented to it.
Well, I don't know.
It's just ridiculous.
But some parents said they didn't know and complained, and now the head teacher had to resign.
That's so stupid.
Was told they had to resign or they'd be fired.
That's what I hate about this world.
I would have said, fire me, and then took them to court.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, it seems maybe a little bit too far, but yeah, generally it was a good bill. Okay, that was it. Very quickly, Diablo 4. We've been playing Diablo 4 open beta.
Yes, love it.
So if you're not interested in Diablo 4, thanks. Catch you in the next one.
Yeah,
but we're going to talk about Diablo 4 for a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what it is, it's a PC game that's been long anticipated.
Yeah.
And what do we think?
Set around the events of Lilith, is she one of the princess? I don't know, something of hell.
I think they call her the Mother.
Mother of Hell, that's it. She's come back and wreaking havoc upon the world.
Well, that's just the first act, isn't it?
Yes. That's what we got to play in the beta, and I think it's really good. I enjoy the game.
I thought it was bloody brilliant.
Did you?
It was absolutely brilliant. There are a few small things I wasn't overly keen on. You know, sort of repetition of some dungeons. The one thing I really didn't like, and it's only a small one, you know, the cellars. You can go to some of the cellars where they're like, every cellar is identical.
Yeah, I've noticed this.
Identical, every one of them. It's like, seriously?
With like a tiny difference.
You couldn't even make the room on the right of the antechamber or the left or straight on. They're always on the left.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just, come on, that's not okay. But it's a beta. Maybe that's not going to be that way in the release version. I don't know.
Rest assured that if it is, in the podcast, is it June when it comes out? We do a podcast in June. We'll be moaning about it then as well.
Won't be any podcasts in June because I'll be busy playing Diablo.
Ah, yes. We'll be having a break in June.
No, we won't. There will be.
There will be any podcasts.
Yeah, but you might have to put up with a bit of Diablo chat. But we have a different channel just for gaming.
Yes.
So that's where we'll be talking about it.
Two men online gaming. Gaming online.
2 Men Gaming Online.
Yes.
You will find us there. It's not linked as a second channel to this channel, unfortunately.
No. You have to go and search for it.
But yeah, that's on YouTube, not on podcasts, not on any of the podcast stations. On that, you know, YouTube have introduced podcast feature.
Wait, sorry, I have one more thing about Diablo that I didn't like.
What's that?
The price of the base game. It's not worth the money. It's not worth that money, I don't think.
It's not worth the money.
It's not worth 60 quid. I like the game. I really enjoy it. I think 60 quid is too much.
You're happy to pay £100 for Battlefield?
No, I paid 80.
You happy to pay 80 for Battlefield, which is trash.
But that wasn't the base game. That was also the middle tier.
How much was the base game? 60.
Yeah.
That is a normal price now for AAA titles.
And I hate it.
Well, you can hate
be
it.
worth
Obviously,
40 quid.
you hate it. Everyone hates paying more money.
Yeah, but then they'll put in microtransactions, which they are doing, to get even more money.
Yeah, but they're doing it in a reasonable way. You don't have to pay microtransactions. There's no in-game benefit to the microtransactions. It's cosmetics.
We'll see.
The only way it could be beneficial that I can see in the game is if you manage to buy something that camouflages you in the background and you do PvP. That makes you harder to see on the screen as you're running around. That's the only way it could be beneficial that I can see.
We'll see how they fully implement.
The only thing that there may be something that is because you're going to get a season pass.
Oh yeah.
And you can get a premium season pass. I think there might even be one above that as well.
What does that? I've never understood what season passes are. Are they just like?
So you get the season pass that everyone gets, which basically you do work. The more XP you grind out, sort of thing, it moves along, and at certain points along your progression, you'll get a reward.
Yeah.
So once you've got 1 million XP points, you'll get a reward, which might be a cosmetic item, or it might be a potion of some kind. You know, an XP potion, for example. 50% XP for 1 hour, or it might be a custom potion or something like that says restore all my health, restore all of my power, whether it's mana or whether it's any of the others that you used in this one, rage or any of those. It might be I don't know, a skin for a weapon. It might be a weapon itself.
Yeah.
But the point is, everyone will be able to get them. It's just how fast you can get them because it's how much you work through. So the more you play, the more reward you have.
Yeah.
So I think that's fair. Some people still complain because they say, well, no, I only get to play for 2 hours a year, so I'm never going to be able to do these.
Yeah.
It's like, well, who cares?
Yeah.
It's your problem. I'm not saying I'll finish them all.
No.
But that's right. It's fair. Everyone has the same opportunity. Just because you play less, doesn't mean it was unfair to you. You chose to play less, or your parents not letting you play as much. Speak to your parents.
You still have the same amount of time, yeah.
You've still got the same amount of hours in a year that everyone else has got, or in a season, or anything else.
Yeah. There was something else you didn't like as well. You disliked, which was the lower levels doing more damage, or rather appearing to do more damage.
I hate it.
Yeah. I didn't like it either, to be honest.
So they balanced the play. So at level 25, I was level 25, and I think you were level 7.
No, you were 22, I think. We were still playing through.
So I was level 22 and you were level 7.
Yeah, and a new character.
On a new character.
Yeah.
And you killed mobs in about a third the time that I do.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mind them leveling it a bit so that you can play together.
Yeah.
But it should work in the opposite way round. In that if you're playing with a higher level, your skills shouldn't scale above theirs.
Yeah.
It should be scaled either to theirs, or I would say even more below theirs. I would say the scaling should become more and more the level difference. So if you're playing one level above your thing, it shouldn't be much different at all. It should be about the same. If you're playing 10 levels above your level, then you should have at least a 10% handicap. If you're playing 20% above 20 levels above your level, you should be having a 20% handicap. It should get worse to stop people at level bloody 1 just getting ported straight to the end and ruining it all.
Yeah.
I also heard that that's a real major problem on the world boss.
Okay.
Because you can only have 14 people in there at a time.
Right.
And you've got people in there that come in, don't know how to play, can't do anything, and meaning everyone fails who gets in there because they've got
nothing.
People who haven't played the game coming straight in and going onto the world boss.
Okay, interesting.
And they don't spawn very often at all. No. So, yeah, it screws everyone over that's playing with them. And you can't get around it by doing a party because you can only party of 4 people. Classic Diablo.
Yeah, of course.
So, even if you party up, you can still end up with 10 useless people. So,
interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, so that needs a bit of fixing, I think. But otherwise,
it'd be interesting to see how they address it, though, if they do.
I mean, the real thing when you're playing any game like that is, did I enjoy playing it?
Yes, I did.
And I bloody well did.
It was really good.
Therefore, it's a great game because it was really enjoyable. If it was okay, it's not worth buying because if it's not enjoyable,
no point.
If I played it and said, well, it was okay, take it or leave it, then I wasn't having fun, and it wasn't worth buying. But
then,
it was great. I loved it.
But then at the same time, I really enjoyed Diablo 3.
I enjoyed it for half an hour.
Yeah, I enjoyed it to the level. I mean, lots of people could be higher than this, but I was at least level 100 Paragon, so I played it quite a bit, which is more than I would play most other games.
We played it together when it came out.
Did, and you promptly stopped playing.
And I promptly stopped because it was trash.
And I carried on playing.
Now, I see a lot of people that love Diablo 3.
Yeah, I think it was really good.
A lot of them criticising Diablo 4 a bit. But I was watching a couple of people who haven't played Diablo 2.
Oh, okay.
They played Diablo 3 a lot.
Yeah.
And then they're playing Diablo 4 and they're complaining. But they were very clear when they made it.
Yeah.
They were saying Diablo 4 is going to be a return to Diablo 2.
Yeah.
And I think they've done that very well.
Yeah.
It's very similar to Diablo 2. The graphics are amazing, yet somehow it's better and smoother than Diablo 2 was.
Yeah. So
I think they ticked all of the major boxes for me so far. For the little we've played, that is. Yeah. For up to level 25, because that's where it's capped. So yeah, I particularly like the Druid. Sorcerers is good. It's great, but I think they're overpowered.
No, I like it. I think they're a little bit weak in terms of once you start to get into the higher levels. I found you're sitting there for ages just on the same enemy clicking. That's it.
Well,
it's like it's not going anywhere.
That happens with every character.
It's so annoying.
That's what I was saying to you. When I'm running my level 25 Druid and I'm beating them down with all of my stats and skills and magic stuff, and I'm hitting them like 8 times to kill a minion.
Yeah.
And then you walk past and go zap, and they drop dead in one hit. It's like, no, seriously, it takes the piss.
Ah, well. Yeah.
So yeah, fix that stupid leveling thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But no, Sorceress is too powerful.
I did like. I only played 2 classes, which was a Sorcerer, which I played a lot of Diablo 3 as well, which I really enjoyed. But I also played the Necro as well, which I quite enjoyed playing.
So did I tell you, I was playing on hardcore when I started, which means when you die, your character's deleted.
Yeah.
I started off with what's the archery type one? I can't remember what they're called. Hunter, is it?
The Rogue.
Rogue. Okay, Rogue. I started off a Rogue. I died at level 7 because I was stupid. Anyway.
Of course.
That's on me.
Yeah.
So then I played a Sorceress. Again, hardcore. Mm-hmm. I was level 20.
Yeah.
On hardcore. And I said it to you when we were playing yesterday. I went into this one dungeon, and all of a sudden, mobs came from 3 different directions, and as they all come onto the screen, it lagged the crap out.
Yeah.
Everything just slowed down to stuttered, and then it went into like instant super speed. Bam! And there I was, dead. That's it. It was gutting. Now it is a beta, so yeah.
Yeah. Well, don't play hardcore beta then.
But still, it was annoying to say the least. I mean, they could have had something in place. Come on.
Yeah. But
to say, look, we noticed a lag in there or something like that. It's
unlikely. But to be honest, I mean, I think it was you that told me they're not keeping the characters after the beta finished.
No, they're not. Yeah, so I wasn't that upset about it. The only thing I was upset about is because I hadn't got to their ultimates yet. I wanted to get to her ultimate to test it out.
Yeah.
But I didn't get to. But I did with the Druid. I ran through a few of his ultimates, and yeah, they were all right. No, they were great. They were really good actually, until I started playing with you, and the mobs become twice as hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, just my ultimate didn't seem to be ultimate anymore. But that's what happens when you play in a party. But it's different if you're playing in a party of similarly leveled people, because you all get your powers going. It looks really good. But when someone wanders in with a stick and taps someone, where you've got all these super magical powers going on, and everything's slowly dying, and then someone walks in with a stick and taps them and they die. That's an unskilled level 7. Just tap. Dead.
Yeah, for those wondering, he is talking about me.
When I say unskilled, I didn't mean as a player. I meant as a character.
As a character, yeah.
You haven't unlocked the skills. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's all good. Go buy the game.
Anything else?
No, I'm good. I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you very much for watching.
Catch you in the next one. I'll speak to you next week. I've lost the mouse. It's gone. Okay. Now I'm off.
No, you got to press the...
Yeah, I've got it. So I put the starting screen up instead of the ending screen. Oh, dear. Long day, as I said.
Yeah.
Right.
Cut.
Going. Bye.